And we are live. Hello, my friends. My name is Evelyn Joy, and welcome back to my channel. I hope some of you can join the live or at least watch the playback. If you watch, make sure you leave a comment below so that I can respond. Tell me, I want you to answer the question in the comments. How has your life changed, and what improvements have you made during a global pandemic? So, one YouTube channel I watch, he calls it a panorama. He says, we're in a panorama. Because I think maybe we're not supposed to say, the other P word on YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that. How over the last year, the ways that my life has changed and ways that my life has improved over the last year. So in 2020, 2021, it's crazy because Facebook will tell you, 1 year ago, you posted this on Facebook or whatever. It's like, wow, 1 year ago, we were having the fence built on our yard. So I want to rewind time and talk about the beginning of the panorama pandemic, the beginning, how it all began. And how my perspective has changed and what things I did to make the most of a crummy situation. And also, just how my perspective on things. So one important thing to know is that I'm a mom of 4 little ones. So this is my lovely family. This is my daughter, Esther. She's 6. My daughter, Deborah, is 5. Caleb is 1. Joshi is 3. That's my husband, David, and my mother-in-law, Narcisa. So yeah, we call her Abuela though. All right. So when the pandemic hit, pre-pandemic, what did I always do? What was my life like, right? Because it's changed a lot. So when the pandemic hit, had a newborn, right? So before having the newborn, so he was born December 31st, 2019, right? So before he was born, when I was pregnant, I had a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. I really had my hands full. I felt like I had 3 very needy little ones and another one on the way. I was exhausted every day, all the time. I was always exhausted and I was always on the go. I was always getting up early and teaching for VIPKID online. And one day a week, we would go to the zoo. We had zoo memberships. We would go to the park with friends or just us. We would go to the children's museum. We were always on the go. And when the pandemic hit, it forced us to stay home because, everybody told us we needed to be afraid. I am wearing a shirt that says faith over fear because that's something I've learned. And I wasn't necessarily terrified, but I was trying to be cautious because as VIPKID teachers, we saw the whole pandemic play out first in China before it came here. So we as VIPKID teachers, we were more aware of the sickness that was happening, and we never expected it to come here and to last as long as it was and be as bad as it was. And so anyway, some of my friends and I, we were some of the first people to be sewing masks, and now we are all over it. We are done wearing masks. I'm so glad my church finally is not wearing masks, and it's glorious to see people's smiling faces again. Anyway, good times. Rewinding again. So before the pandemic hit, I was pregnant. I was exhausted all the time. I was always taking my kids places. I was always getting up early. And I was very busy. I was a busybody. I was always keeping everything. Yes. So Dani just commented, she said, "Hi, Evelyn. I'm glad your life has improved. I also tried to enjoy the downtime best I could." Yeah. So when the pandemic hit, I tried my best to make lemonade out of the lemons. So I looked at my responsibility as a mom because I've still got mouths to feed. I've still got kids to keep out of depression. I need to educate them somehow, right? So I was still kind of making the decision. I had mostly made the decision to homeschool already. And when the pandemic hit, it solidified the decision for me because it was like, okay, the public schools here, not great. The Christian schools, expensive, right? And then there was one school I was really excited about because it was a Christian school that was part-time. But when we went to the meeting about it, we found out it was way too expensive. So I was like, well, I guess I'm homeschooling. And when the pandemic hit, it was like, oh, I'm definitely homeschooling, definitely. So I think out school was a big help, but I'll get to that. Anyway, I keep getting ahead of myself and talking about now or later. I want to talk about the beginning, okay? So at the beginning, when the pandemic first hit, my main concern was, the grocery stores were empty for a little while. So my thing was like, okay, take an assessment. What do I have in the cupboards? What can I make out of what I have? And it made me aware of like how dependent we are on grocery store shelves, right? So one thing that I and a lot of people did at that time was, okay, let's learn how to grow food because we realized, oh, wow, we are so dependent on the grocery stores. What if the grocery stores fail us, right? Now, currently, right now, I'm still in experimental stage learning how to grow food, right? But gardening became such an amazing outlet for me. See, I couldn't take my kids to the park anymore. The parks were closed down. It was the most depressing thing ever to drive past all the parks we used to enjoy and love and see just like fencing around them. They were like off limits, as if the park itself would give us COVID, right? And it was just, that was the thing that really triggered me the most, was all of the parks, just seeing them with that ugly fencing around them and just us being forbidden to go play. That was like one of the harder things. And obviously other people have dealt with much harder than that. But so I discovered, okay, gardening was always one of those things that I thought, when my kids are teenagers, then I'll explore gardening and then they can help with it or whatever. But while they're little, they're such a handful. I was so exhausted, like I said. So one thing that happened was VIPKID kind of cut our pay. They cut our incentive pay, right? They changed the format, so that if you worked like a zillion hours, then you would make the same amount or a little more of incentive pay. And if you didn't work a crazy amount for them, then you were making less, which that was 90% of us VIPKID teachers. So I also went under review with VIPKID. So, but a lot of us started discovering OutSchool. One thing a friend of mine said before we even discovered OutSchool was, my friend said, if we're all homeschooling our kids and stuck home with our kids, what if we teach each other's kids? Because, I speak Spanish. I can teach Spanish to another friend's kids. Cindy, she majored in math. She could do the math, so we were like talking about, what if we like taught each other's kids, And then OutSchool happened. So OutSchool is a platform, and there's other platforms like it too, where we, the online teachers, we can teach the students. And it's a great work from home job. And then also my kids can take classes. So I've taken the approach of, it takes a village to raise a child. That's the approach I've taken towards homeschooling, because it's just so much easier to have a different teacher than just me. So for me, for my teaching portion, I have worked on building up our easy reader books. I've used Facebook Marketplace because I've found like whole book sets of easy reader books for just like $10 and have to pay $5 shipping or whatever, but you get like 20 books or something. So I found a lot of good deals on Facebook Marketplace and ordered them to be delivered, ones where you just pay the shipping and they come. So I built up a whole bookshelf of easy reader books. And so, see, in school, when I was a kid back in the day, I went to public school. I did homeschool a tiny bit. I didn't go to Christian school till Bible college, but yeah, public school was always a struggle for me. I was a slow reader. I was in the slow readers group. So I kind of labeled myself in my own mind as dumb, not smart. And so when you have that perspective of yourself, it's like, why even try? You know? And so I did worse in school because I didn't try as hard. Also, I didn't, I had a single mom or on again, off again, you know, the stepdads going in and out. So I, at home, I didn't have like a stable, like support. Basically, my mom, she wasn't around. And then whenever parent teacher conferences happened, I would get in trouble for not doing my homework or doing bad on tests or whatever, talking too much in class, you know? So when I started working in elementary school was the first time I discovered that all these kids believe they're dumb and they're not. I worked especially with the ELL. I was an ELL aides, which is English language learners. So I worked with students, especially from Mexico, but also from Africa and different countries, Middle East and stuff, that English was their second language. And all these kids, because they weren't getting as good of test scores, because they struggled with the English, they thought that they weren't smart. But I'm like, you guys are doing it in a second language. All these other kids, they couldn't do this in another language, you know? So it made me realize that in school, we kind of think we're dumb when we're not. And I tried to convey that to my students and let them know, you guys are so smart. You know, this is hard because it's in a second language, but you guys are so smart. And I also realized that as an adult, that everybody has their own area of genius. You know, mine is more languages and artistic abilities, and maybe a little bit of musical talent, maybe not so much musical as I would think, but yeah. I sewed my own wedding dress. I learned a second language, you know, so I thought I was dumb when really I just struggled with reading. So anyway, all that to say, the thing I chose to focus on this last year, since my daughter is 6, she was 5. My other daughter's 5, she was 4, and 3, he was 2. So basically my oldest was kindergarten age, but she was first grade smarts. So I kind of did unofficial kindergarten, first grade this year with her. And so I decided to focus on reading. So now, though my 3 big kids, not my baby, obviously, but my 3 big kids know how to read now. And so what I really wanted to do was get a lot of fun, easy reader books so that they would have a sense of accomplishment of being able to pick out books that they're actually interested in, actually read them and feel like, wow, this is so fun. I'm learning to read. This is so exciting. And cultivate a love of reading and a love of learning, because my thought is, if you are a good reader, then you can learn about anything you want, right? Like, say you want to learn about engineering, say you want to learn how a piano is built. I don't know, anything you want to learn about, you can read about, right? So so yeah, I learned to garden, and I knew I could tell that kids were going to struggle with depression. So I was like, I can't take my kids anywhere, you know, or we can't get together with friends. I need to make this place, our home. I took an assessment, not just of what food we have, what we can eat, what I can feed them, but also like, how can I entertain my kids and educate my kids and make it fun, right? So I'm like, I have this amount of land, you know, yard, that we couldn't play in because we didn't have a fence. So when we got our first, what was it called? The check from the government, whatever that was called. I used my portion of it to have a fence built on our yard. Now, the fence isn't completed in the back, but we needed it in the front because we had a big issue, still have a big issue, of there's stray dogs in our neighborhood, and some of them are massive and they just wander around and they terrify my kids, right? So we needed that fence for that. Also, people, they go barreling down our road super fast, even though the speed limit's like 25, right? They don't care. I put out a sign that said, slow children at play, right? They don't care. They just Some people drive so fast on the street and there's no sidewalk, you know. And then also sometimes we have random like drunk people or people on drugs like walking down the street. Our neighborhood's not the worst and not the best, right? We live not on the you know, there's like the rich side of the town. Yeah, we're on the other side of the town. So there's like gang violence in our neighborhood and stuff. So we needed that fence so that we could have our yard for us. So once we built the fence, then you know, a friend of mine, without me even asking, I was thinking about getting a playhouse for my kids, but playhouses are so expensive. I was thinking about building one out of free pallets and like looking how to do that. And a friend offered me theirs for free. They drove from 40 minutes away in their truck with this big little playhouse, big for a truck, little for a yard, right? Little playhouse for my kids, and they gave it to us for free. That was so super kind of them, because they have one son and he had grown out of it for the most part, and I had 4 little ones, and they were like, you guys can get a lot of play out of this, would you like to have it? That was super super kind of them. So yes, we've gotten a lot of play out of it. I ordered a swing. It's like a big saucer swing and a porch swing and a baby swing. And my friend Dani, who's watching, she gave us a hammock swing. And then now, finally, 1 year later, I bought an actual real swing set. But yeah, so I started learning to garden and building my garden because I was like, I need to grow food. I need to make this place an oasis. I need to make it fun. So I started building my library of books for the kids. And now, you know, my kids take online classes with teachers because I took, you know, what do kids learn in first grade and made it my goals of teaching my kids. And so I also talked to some of my friends who are teachers, and I was like, okay, my daughter needs to learn how to count money. My daughter needs to learn how to tell time. And so sign them up for those classes that are ongoing. But yeah, at the beginning, they were doing all sorts of like tea parties and, you know, gardening classes and bumblebee classes with Dani, all sorts of things. Let me read what you're saying. Dani says, hi, Evelyn. I'm glad your life has improved. I also tried to enjoy the downtime best I could. I have a lot of respect for homeschool parents, as I'm sure most parents do after 2020. That's a positive that came from 2020. People growing more food. Gardening is a great outlet when you can't control anything else. Exactly. Yes, so great to not do it all yourself. Kids need to learn from others and then their parents alone. Exactly. So the awesome thing was out school improved my life a lot because I no longer had to get up early for VIPKID. I could sleep in. I was no longer exhausted. You know, I was no longer pregnant, so that's another help. Right? I was no longer getting up early, no longer exhausted, no longer going everywhere with my kids all the time, but we had to stay home. So I learned how to become a home buddy. And I learned not to be as dependent on other people because we had been, you know, getting together with friends all the time. And we had to just stay put, stay home, right? And so I learned how to enjoy life right here, and appreciate the little things, you know, like growing a plant from a seed. I also didn't realize how amazing it is to have a garden and to grow your own food. It's so cool. And I guess my perspective kind of changed. I now like totally look up to the Amish. I don't know about you guys. They do everything. They do everything still. Wow, without electricity. I need electricity, guys. I mean, I feel like I do. They grow all their own stuff and build their own barns and everything. So I learned how to build. I started using a drill. I got, you know, free wood. So I started off my garden with anything I could get for free. I got cinder blocks for free. I got potting soil for cheaper through Facebook Marketplace. I got some railroad ties for free. I hired a guy with some of our check from the government. I hired a guy to build me a couple of raised beds. I bought some stepping stones from someone for like $30 for 30 stepping stones. And I just started figuring out a new way of life, a new way of doing things. And my life will never be the same as it was before, in that I will always be a gardener now. There's never, I mean, even if in the future I've just got a balcony apartment or something, who knows the future. Even if I have to downsize to something tiny, I will always have, containers growing something, and grow some watermelons on my balcony. Why not? But I discovered the joy of reconnecting with nature, which is crazy because I'm in the middle of the city. Like I said, we're right by the fire department. We hear sirens and it's an active city. But as I've built my garden, all these birds come from far and wide and just enjoy my garden. Have they taken a strawberry or a blueberry? Maybe. I haven't seen it, but it's possible. They're going to love the blackberries. They're coming. But it's just so cool just to see like nature happening in my yard. Like I said, the zoo closed down. We just recently finally got a zoo pass again. We're enjoying going again. But yeah, we enjoyed more family time, but also just learning to work with my hands. Like I said, I learned how to use a power drill. I got free wood. I built a dollhouse for my kids out of free wood I got. Somebody posted that they were giving like scrap wood away that was left over from, they had finished their basement and they had a bunch of scrap pieces of wood. And so I took some of those pieces of wood and I made a dollhouse out of it. I took some of those pieces of wood and a couple of extra pieces of wood. I got some free pallets, and I also had couple of extra pieces of wood from our fence that was built. And I made a puppet stage for my kids, and I got busy learning to do things at home, right? Learning how to cook out of what we have, as cheaply as possible, just figuring out how to feed my family with what we've got, right? And learning how to grow food and learning how to educate my kids at home. Outschool's been a big help because, I'm not the only teacher for my kids. They take a reading class, they take a math class, they take, telling time and doing money. So what I mostly spend time teaching my kids is reading. What I do with my kids is just reading, because I feel like they're little. If I can give them a foundation of reading, they're going to be good. They're going to be golden. So the next thing I need to focus on more is writing. So what I did when I started homeschooling was I bought a bunch of workbooks and a bunch of mechanical pencils and a bunch of erasers, and then I proceeded to not use them. So now I need to get those back out, dust them off the shelf, and do a little bit more writing, because we've been doing mostly like online classes, and my daughter will write on the whiteboard. She writes with chalk outside. We need to do a little bit more pencil and paper writing. But so my daughter Esther, she is, this last year she was kindergarten age, but she did first grade pretty much. Deborah is going to be starting kindergarten in August. So she knows all of her letters, knows all of the letter sounds. She can read some words, She can read some basic books, but she knows how to spell her name, but she needs to work on like writing her name. The same goes for Joshy. Joshy, he can read simple books and sound things out and stuff, but obviously he can't write yet. He's 3 though. He's obsessed with sight words right now. He wants to watch videos of sight words of people just like showing that word on the screen and saying it over and over again. Oh, the other thing we did is we got 3 iPads and put educational stuff on them, and I pay $10 a month for ABC Mouse. So my kids each have their own account where they do, you know, reading and math and all that activities, science and stuff on their iPads. Hello, Cindy. But the iPads is also something that's like a double-edged sword, because I have to limit it with them, because they would play iPad all day if they wanted to. I limit it to, you know, if the weather's really crummy outside and we can't go anywhere, can't do anything, or while I'm teaching classes, they can have it. But I don't let them have it first thing when they wake up. I don't let them have it before they have their classes. They have to do their classes first. They kind of have to like earn the iPads. I put passwords on the iPad so they can't just like go and get it. They have to, I have to unlock it for them. So that I regained some control with that, because they were just like having a sense of entitlement of like thinking that they can have the iPad whenever they want. And I'm like, oh, that is not what we're doing here. So anyway, VIPKID, I cut back a lot. I'm just now starting to teach a little bit in the mornings again. I just taught a little bit ago with my orange shirt on over there. But yeah, so now that the panorama, as they say, is starting to calm down, we've started having friends over to our front porch. See, we got a picnic table for our front porch, and you know, I've got this beautiful garden, and we have a swing set and everything. So since I made my home a fun place to be, it's also a fun place to invite friends over. So we've had my aunt over for lunch. We had yeah, the parents as teachers lady, we had to have Zoom calls all this last year. So finally she was able to come visit recently. So Parents as Teachers is a government program through the public schools that's to help support parents teaching their kids from home from a young age, before their school age. So she's been coming for a couple of years now. But before, she would come and she would give the kids like hearing and sight tests, and she would give us like free diapers or free car seats or just like books or whatever. But during the pandemic, it was just like Zoom calls. So we didn't get as much of the freebie stuff. She would always bring like crafts over and stuff. So it's fun that she can come now. She brought like books and puzzles and chalk and bubbles, all the awesome stuff that we love to play with. So yeah. So it's been awesome, because now kind of whenever people talk about like, oh, why don't you send your kids to this school or that school? I feel like, oh my gosh, you're not going to take my kids away from me, because my perspective has changed. I feel like my kids are growing up so fast, and I just want this time with them. One thing we did was we were doing a homeschool co-op for a little bit, but it was just a few moms, and the second semester they weren't able to do it. I've looked at homeschool co-ops, and a lot of them, it's just, I'm going to be honest, as a mom of 4, it's really hard to get all 4 of them ready and out the door and be to something that's early in the morning. Facts. Like, we go to a church that has a church service at 11 a.m. and we go to the 11 a.m. service. We don't go to the 9:30. We don't go to the 8 a.m. Because I've got 4 little kids that it's just hard getting them all ready and out the door in time. And I try, as a mom, I try to avoid as much as possible situations and things that make me feel stressed, anxious, frustrated, overwhelmed, impatient. I try to like lower, high stress situations so that, stuff like building the fence so that, there's I feel like I'm not expressing myself right. I try to avoid signing myself up for things that I know will stress me out later, right? So things like signing up for a co-op that's going to be once a week, early in the morning across town. So I know I'm going to have to like get my kids up early. And then also sometimes my kids are sick and I don't want to take them. I don't want to like pay for something ahead of time that I don't end up using anyway. So the Children's Museum reopened up and we got a pass for there. And we went one time and it just seemed like it was a lot of kids. And my kids actually got sick after going. So I kind of was like, I don't want to go here that much. So, but we have a pass for the whole year. So we might go again sometime. My kids are like, why aren't we going to the Children's Museum? I didn't like, okay, in the smaller Children's Museum, I could keep my eyes on my kids at all times. In the bigger Children's Museum that they've built, there's a lot more running around and kids going places where I can't see them. As a mom of 4 little ones, I need to see all 4 of my kids at all times. So when I take them to the park, when I take them to the zoo, when I take them to the Children's Museum, I want to be able to see all 4 kids at all times so that I know nobody's getting hurt or kidnapped or running in the street or getting in the tiger cage, whatever. Right? So that's the challenge with having 4 kids, but also something else has changed about my life. I went from being the mom of 3 very small children that were just very dependent on me, very, very, very. I felt like I had 3 babies at once because they were so close in age, to now I feel like I have 3 big kids and 1 little one baby, toddler. Oh, he's getting so big. But really, I have 2 big ones and 2 little ones because Joshy lately has very much been reminding me that he's 3 because lately he's been throwing fits. Mama don't play that game, but he's still, he's 3. So that's how he's been behaving lately. I'm so glad Esther and Deborah are past those stages. They pretty much don't throw fits, knock on wood. So they're very well behaved because they've learned over time with consistency that mom has never, ever, ever given me what I was throwing a fit for. It's a lot more likely to get what I want when I behave myself and I say please and thank you. And even then, the answer is still sometimes no, or later, or maybe, right? So I've had to be very consistent with my kids to teach and train them that you can sit there and throw a fit. It's not going to get you what you want, So my 3-year-old lately, this week especially, he has been working on that. So one thing I thought would happen in the pandemic, okay, every mom out there, judge me. Just judge me. Get it out of the way. Judge me. Okay. Both my girls, I potty trained them the week they turned 3. And that's late for a lot of people. Well, okay. Let me rewind. My mother-in-law is from Ecuador, right? So how she had with her boys was since they were babies, certain times of the day, when they're babies, she would put them on the potty and say, even before they can lift up their head, okay, she would lay them over the potty and when they need to poop, say, and when they need to pee, say, psst. So training them from super young, tiny baby, how to use the potty certain times of the day. So 11 o'clock would be their poop time or whatever it is. So my mother-in-law always had this perspective of like, I need to do that. So with my first child, I was a stay-at-home mom, no job, pregnant with my second, got a little toddler baby girl. Every time I went to the bathroom, I put her on the potty. So sometimes she peed, sometimes she pooped, sometimes she didn't. Sometimes I caught her when she was mid-poop and put her on the potty. And I was just like constantly over her trying to teach her to use the potty. But once that newborn was born, that was all out the window. And she didn't potty train until she turned 3, right? So then my second one, Deborah, she potty trained the week that she turned 3. But it took like a whole year till she finally would poop on the toilet because she had like this strange phobia, anxiety about pooping on the toilet. She would always ask for a diaper, poop in the diaper. She would refuse to poop on the toilet as much as I tried. So then finally we got past that phobia thing. Thank goodness. So now I've got my Joshua and he is 3.5. So one thing I thought when he was 2.5, when this whole panorama started, I thought, oh, we're definitely going to potty train because, you know, there's a diaper shortage and we're home all the time. We're definitely going to potty train. That is the one thing we definitely did not accomplish during the panorama. We did not become experts on using the potty. He is 3.5. He, you know, we can put him on the toilet all day long, and he will hold it in until it's time for bath, and then he'll pee in the bath. He's still not getting it. He's smart. He's so smart. He can read books about going potty. He can sing songs about going potty, but actually using the potty, you know, judge me. He's not there yet. We're working on it. He very occasionally will poop on the toilet or pee on the toilet. It's man, it's a struggle. He is, they let you know when they're ready, and he's not interested at this current time. Crazy, I know. So I have 2 in diapers still. I could, if I wanted to, not put pants or diaper on him and have him just run around, peeing everywhere. Just free as a bird. The problem is I'm teaching online, and so yeah, sometimes we have him, you know, in underwear and pants, and he'll just sit on the couch and pee in his pants and get the couch all wet. We have blankets on our couches, so then we'll have to wash the blankets. So anyway, potty training is the one thing I thought I would accomplish in this panorama that I definitely didn't. So, yeah, Cindy said, keep making them love learning. Yeah, exactly. It made me realize a lot that, I mean, this panorama has homeschooling endeavor has made me really realize things about public school that are disadvantages. For example, my sweet daughter, Deborah, I don't think she would do well having to sit in class all day, you know, especially with the masks, especially with the social distancing. People have really struggled this last year. It's been hard. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to work from home, for the blessing to be able to work from home, and also be able to sleep in. So another thing I worked on starting in 2021 is eating healthier and exercising. I have an exercise bike now. I have a gym membership now. So 2020, the mistake I made in 2020 was I was in survival mode. So I didn't focus at all on like diet and exercise. So then 2021 hit, and I realized, wow, a whole year has gone by and I didn't exercise. You know, before, you know, I was active with my kids, like taking them to the park, taking them to the zoo, getting lots of exercise. But when I stayed home, I didn't really exercise hardly ever. So I joined the gym. I got an exercise bike and a stepper and some weights. And I have been learning that the more you exercise, the stronger you get. And the main thing that I'm exercising is my heart, because I don't want to have a shortened lifespan because I didn't eat healthy and exercise. So I went on a kind of extreme diet and decided that wasn't for me. So I'm finding a middle ground and, you know, eating healthy and sometimes eating junk. So yeah, not perfect, but it is what it is. Hello, Rebecca. So yeah, I've been talking about how 2020 and 2021 has changed my life for the better in some ways. Like I've learned to be a home buddy. I've learned to teach for OutSchool. I've learned to homeschool. I've learned to garden. I've learned to, you know, teach my kids from home and have fun with my kids at home. And really, it's crazy. I don't know if any of you guys feel this way, but I've gotten so used to being home that I sometimes dread going places. It's like, okay, I'm taking my kids to the zoo. I need to like pack food and diapers and get everything ready and double stroller and everything. And I'm like, man, I'm already exhausted thinking about it. We get so much exercise at the zoo walking around. It's great. It's awesome. Super exhausting though. Super exhausting though. So it makes you, it's kind of like, especially with little kids, if you go on a road trip or a vacation, you just can't wait to get home. Like home is the vacation. I feel that way now. Like I've made my home into an oasis, so we like being here now. So I a little bit dread going places now. You know, I got the pass for the museum, and I didn't like the new bigger museum as much, and so I have been kind of avoiding going again, which is crazy, you know. So I, as a person, I've become more of a home buddy. I've become a gardener. I've become a homeschool mom. I've become, you know, my own like entrepreneur, teaching my own Spanish classes online and stuff. So it's been really interesting, the ways that my life has improved over this last year. Rebecca said, we are going on vacation soon and Esther does not want to go. LOL. That's funny. Rebecca has a daughter named Esther as well. Me too. It can be too much work sometimes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And also like, okay, my kids beg me almost every day to go to Dollar Tree because I've made Dollar Tree like way too much fun. Okay. I love Dollar Tree. The awesome thing about Dollar Tree is my kids can each have their own basket. They can pick out anything in the store. I can just like limit them like, hey, just get 5 items, whatever you want. But if it's like candy, just like one candy, you know. So they'll get, you know, toys or whatever. It's like amazing to them because they can pick things out and they know like I'm getting a puzzle, I'm getting sidewalk chalk, I'm getting bubbles, I'm getting a doll, I'm getting whatever. They know everything in the store is $1. So they've learned the joy that I have of Dollar Tree. So my kids ask every day to go to Dollar Tree, and I just like, I have to leave at least one of my kids home. Like bringing all 4 kids to Dollar Tree is like too much. So I'll either bring the 2 girls or the 3 big kids and leave the baby home. If I bring all 4 of them somewhere and it's just me, for example, yesterday I had to do nursery duty at church. My husband worked overnight shift, so he was sleeping because he had to work overnight shift 2 nights in a row. And so I left the baby home sleeping with him and brought the 3 big kids to church. So I worked in the nursery, but my baby wasn't in the nursery because it was just too much bringing 4 kids it was storming and raining outside. So bringing 4 kids to church is just like too much by myself. So I left one home and brought 3 with me, and I worked I volunteered in the nursery. So anyway, but if I hadn't had nursery duty, I probably wouldn't have gone to church because it was pouring rain so hard and my husband had worked night shift. So anyway, good times. Today we are having some family members / friends over for a picnic on the front porch. So that's something we've been doing lately, is having friends over, having a picnic on the front porch. We get to show them my garden. We get to, you know, play on the swings or whatever we want to do. And yeah, we're going to have fun. So today, Esther has one online class in the morning. And then at 5 p.m., I teach a Spanish class. So we have like this whole, like, Esther has the class like 9:30 in the morning. Our friends are coming over at 12:30 p.m. And then like 5 p.m. I'm teaching Spanish class. So it's awesome. So anyway, I'm going to read what you're saying. Rebecca says, I have to limit my Dollar Tree shopping since I buy too much every time I go. I tell Esther she can get one thing and that is so hard for her. I'm a little bit more like lenient. Yeah, what I've had to do is limit how many times I go to Dollar Tree. So my kids ask every day to go to Dollar Tree. So we've set like Friday as our like go to Dollar Tree day. So we can like count down the days till Friday and go on Fridays, right? Because if I went every day, I would spend $30 every day that I go. So that's too much. Cindy said, I went to the dollar store and bought baskets. I am at the other end of the spectrum when I have to learn to be okay to be alone because everyone is busy. Yeah. I can go once a month, lol. Okay, so let me show you guys some of the things I got at Dollar Tree. Okay, this is the main one I want to show you guys. It's a giant ice cream cone. Okay, that's the only thing I want to show you guys, actually. But also, look at this. I got this at Walmart. So I wanted to get a headset for Dino at the American Girl doll store, but it was like $50, something crazy like that, maybe $40 for like a little headset. So I got this for $2.50 at Walmart many moons later. So look, Dino has a headset with little ears. Isn't that cute? This is my Dino puppy. Hello. So anyway, I bought this headband is my Elsa headband for teaching in. I've got a sparkly Minnie Mouse headband. I've got another Minnie Mouse headband. I got a Mickey Mouse headband for Joshy for if we like read books together on a video or something. He can, if he, you know, if I'm up here doing a video and my kid and Joshy's in it and other people have Minnie Mouse ears, you know, that way he has something fun to wear too if he wants to. He likes Mickey Mouse. So anyway, my life, I feel like, has improved. More than anything, I've become a builder and a gardener and a homeschooler, and that's been a blessing, you know? So yeah, now we're slowly adding in. Yeah, this is actually a cup. It came with a straw, but I took the straw out. But yeah, I opened that. It's dirty for whatever reason. I've never put anything in it, but yeah. So I've been, yeah. I'm starting to work VIPKID classes in the mornings a little bit again. So yeah. Today I taught one class. Next week I have classes like every morning, and this week none of the morning classes booked. I don't know how y'all do short notice. Short notice never books for me, so I would love short notice, but don't currently have any. All right, so I think that's all. I hear my kids starting to wake up. Also, having people over to my house is a good motivating factor for cleaning my house. Like my front porch was so messy and I cleaned it for several hours. I put stuff away in the basement and stuff. My front porch is kind of like where I do a lot of, you know, potting. I take my small plants in cups that I've grown from seed and I put them into bigger pots or whatever. So I tend to, it's kind of our mud room. It gets messy. So I actually hosed off our front porch because it's muddy from my kids, you know, running with muddy boots on the front porch and stuff. So I cleared some of it off and really made it a nice place for a picnic today because yeah, we're gonna have some friends over for a picnic. It's going to be lovely. So I'm going to go to Aldi and get $5 pizza to make in the oven. And we're going to have like strawberries and grapes and bananas. I love Aldi. It's so cheap. I can like feed lots of people for really cheap. So anyway, might get a watermelon. We'll see. Or maybe a cantaloupe. I don't know. It's kind of fun to do that. I'm growing so many melons. So this summer we're going to eat so many melons. So anyway. Yeah. Rebecca said short notice for Monday is hit or miss for me. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So thank you very much for coming to my live. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Thanks for listening to all the ways my life has changed and improved this last year. And I mean, hopefully there's more improvements to come, right? Would love to lose weight. I've gone down one shirt size, right? So we'll see. All right. Thanks. Bye. Take care.